And here we go. All right, so let's start this off. So, welcome to a new episode of season 3, or is it season 4, of the Guest Safety Officer Lobby Group. I'm Gary Twining-Wright, and with me today, I've got the legendary Doug Mellor. So, please introduce yourself, Doug.
Hello, Gary. Nice to chat to you again. So I'm Doug from Safer Handling. Reside in the UK, in Wales, originally from the Northwest, but I'm rarely there. Today I'm in a snowy Oklahoma. We've been out here doing some work with implementing the cuffs across their ride care group. So there's a lot of groups that do conveyance of children. There's laws in place that allow the use of restraint devices, so they've opted for soft restraints. So yeah, we said for a long time we're going to do this chat, Gary. So it'd be good to get something down there.
Well, we have, Doug, and it's brilliant to finally have you on the show. The topic we're going to look at today is obviously we're going to look at the SIA. We'll put it in brackets, the approved training, safety, or the control and restraint or physical intervention, which the SIA feel it's what words I'm looking for here, which is safe to use. I've got my views on it. Most people know my views on it. You being an expert in this field as well, Doug, let's hear your point of view on this, please.
I mean, yeah, I think experience makes people experts. I think I describe myself as a specialist more than anything, because I think we're all learning every day, and we can learn something from different people. I remember getting quite excited back in sort of '99, up to 2001, where there was talk about regulating the industry. So they'd already passed the Private Security Act. Lots of people lost their jobs because they shouldn't have been in the industry, and then they started cleaning things up. So the main thing was the conflict res, which made perfect sense. You know, I've just seen Trevor Henry's put a post out about talking first, and it's still the main thing we should be looking at. And then as they started to evolve this physical skills syllabus, and nobody I knew was involved with implementing it, when it came out, I was just so disheartened. It was a hand-holding course. I get why it was there, so that if anyone did sling someone over a balcony or through fire doors or down a flight of stairs, they can say, well, you have been told what to do. You know, we have told you not to do these things. But then I think, like a lot of organisations do with mission creep, or with people not looking for their own solutions and wanting to be spoon-fed, you've ended up with it being a bit insidious and creeping into areas that it doesn't need to, really. I mean, we had Tony Holyland at our conference last year. He got me to speak on mechanical restraint at a pub watch conference a few years earlier, well, 10 years ago, actually. And he owed me one, if you like. So I said, look, can you just come down and just settle the fact that security officers working in hospitals don't need to be billed RRN certified? And he said, no, we were sort of misled. So I think we've got health and safety legislation. We've got things out there that say we need to have training. It's already in place. I just think there's a lack of people going to find their own solutions, and they want the answer from the SIA, who are a lobbying group, who can't really stick their neck out and say, yeah, here's some high-risk techniques, go and use them, because it would come back with egg on the face, I think. So that's basically what I wanted to sort of talk about in today's podcast episode, and just get my point across that the SIA are a good thing, but like the DVLA, perhaps they should stay in the lane and maybe signpost. I think if we could signpost to reputable training providers and training systems to say, here's some alternatives. Because I know Keith Butchard does some combatives. I know there's a lot of other well-respected trainers out there who are putting together frameworks to bridge the gap, really, from the basic PI, SIA, hand-holding, guiding drunk people up and down flights of stairs sideways, which I've never done in that context. But an actual wrestling, there's a place for things like BJJA and physical skills and grappling. If you watch any of the horrific clips of people being filmed doing their jobs as police officers or security officers, you can see that the people that understand body mechanics, dynamics, and have experience of that, they tend to get people under control a lot more quickly.
We're saying that point. I mean, you've mentioned a couple of names there, and we're talking about the physical intervention is very much a hand-holding thing, and it doesn't really take into account of proper violence. I mean, as you know, I've been in the industry, I think, 38, 39 years. I mean, I've had countless of interactions with people, and some of them have been very violent indeed. and there's no way that, grabbing someone by the hand or telling them something actually works. It is a case of, sometimes you have to take people to the floor, and it's understanding how to do that correctly. Whereas the PI training, it doesn't go that far. And one of the biggest things which the SIA put out on their
safer restraint video,
restraint video, thank you, is don't use these techniques. Not being, we know that, saying don't use these techniques, and people buy into that fact and start saying these are illegal techniques, or the SIA is illegal. They don't actually say that. I'm just going to stop everyone here before everyone thinks I hate the SIA. I don't hate the SIA. I am a fan of the SIA. So, Ronnie, Tony, Michelle, please don't take this the wrong way. But going back to those points is, sometimes you do have to take people to the floor, and it happens. That. I mean, what's your feeling on that?
Either take. I mean, I everything I do is bespoke, as I'm sure it is a lot of other trainers do. So in some settings, I will teach people strategies to manage people on the floor, but most of the time it is to get them into a position where you can sustain control and keep them safe. So that might be a 3/4 prone restraint position. Like, NFPS were the ones, in my opinion, to birth that, to give life to it. And then I've seen different versions of it, including Pal Kesh's safety pod against the back, and I've seen strategies. But I think if someone's going to go on the floor, there's got to be a strategy to get them up off the floor. So, for example, I don't teach floor restraints in schools because I think you're probably in a risk-assessed environment already. So contain rather than restrain. But if you've got people that are holding someone on the floor, in a hospital, it might be some form of chemical restraint, or it might be some form of mechanical restraint. So I think hand in hand with anything that's involved on the floor, you need a strategy for getting somebody up off the floor or maintaining control on the floor from that. And even if you're not teaching a takedown, something like a knee strike to the side of the thigh, which I understand optics-wise isn't preferred, but legally and operationally and tactically, it might be the safest thing to do. So again, you're not intended to take them to the floor, but to gain control or to stop them from the initial attack, perhaps against a member of the public or somebody else. So I think even if the SIA don't want to go as far as saying we're going to signpost people to floor restraints, they've got to have something on there. And one of the pictures on the safer restraint video was somebody kneeling on top of someone. I'm like, yeah, okay, we all agree on that one. But one of the things was about don't choke someone. Now I can show you several, and you've probably seen them as well, several accounts where people have almost been praised, like off-duty police officers, well done for taking action against that member of the public. And we always see this praise, and sometimes at these awards evenings I've been to, where they say, this was an SIA officer, and he tackled somebody with a weapon, or he tackled someone in this. That's definitely stepping outside of what the SIA safer restraint video is saying. So I think we've just got to be careful, more for people not, they're going to lose trust in the SIA. Things like turning comments off. If you're going to put something out there, it's got to be open for scrutiny. But as far as comparing the SIA to other faceless organizations where you try and pull them up on something and you say, not entirely sure that's correct, the law doesn't say that, I tend to get stonewalled. But like you say, the names you mentioned from the SIA, the fact Tony Holyland will speak publicly on this, towing the line because he's a civil servant, but I think the discussions can be had there.
Oh, listen, 100%. I mean, we're talking about, let's look at the chokehold. We know it can be a dangerous hold without the relative or the right training. I mean, if we go back, I mean, like yourself, I mean, you've been in martial arts many years. I was been a martial artist since I was 8 years old. I have used that restraint, many times, because people can be completely violent. And if you're by yourself on a one-man door, de-escalation has failed. It's gone to DEFCON 1. There's nothing more for you to do. And putting that blocker there straight away endangers lives. We're going to come on to the second part of this video, this podcast shortly, but it will endanger a life if someone thinks, oh, I cannot do that. And also, you've got to take as people, not everybody is 6'2". I mean, you're 6'4", aren't you?
6'3". Thanks, mate. Give me an extra inch. Okay. We could all do with an extra inch.
always. But you're quite a tall fella. I'm not quite 6'3", but you know, if I was coming up against someone like you, and we have done in the past, you know, and you are violent, and if I get that opportunity to take you down the easiest and most safest way possible, you know,
Yeah.
is that a restraint I would use? Yes, it would be. You know, because it's better than going toe to toe, trying to bang you out. You know, if someone's got a longer reach than me, longer kick than me, you know,
Yeah.
we the trouble with physical intervention, we have to be in close. It's a close combat situation you're suddenly in. You know, what you?
Yeah. I mean, I think I think you're dead right about somebody. It's acts versus omissions, and I think everybody's trying to say these are the things you shouldn't do. There isn't an exhaustive list. I'm a big believer in principles over techniques. So if people have got let's. I don't necessarily think I want to see another module brought up by the SIA saying, here's another 3 days training, here's an online course, here's how you're going to have to video things. But I think if the SIA could support organisations that have failed in a risk assessment. So one thing you mentioned there was a single person door.
Yes.
In this day and age, how does that work risk assessment wise? And where's the liability going to go back to? I mean, let's not forget Peter Stringfellow's place. He had a private security company managing his door, and there was an altercation between. This is an old Mark Dawes case study, I think it's like 15, 20 years ago. And there was a fireman in the club. He broke the rules. And he was thrown out. There was an altercation. The doorman punched him outside the club. He fell and banged his head. So it was the fire brigades union that said, this man's got a young family. We need to get damages for this. So your security company, probably not the deepest pockets. Whereas Peter Stringfellow, he had plenty of money. So he said, look, we know it was this guy, who's now gone to jail, by the way, for manslaughter. The company was subcontracted by you. So contracts law doesn't supersede health and safety law. It was your building. It was your vicarious liability. Now, he settled out of court for that. That was pre-corporate manslaughter. So now we've got corporate manslaughter. I think if the SIA could even do just basically what I've said there with a couple of case studies, put something out to say, yeah, we all kind of understand how to act. If we don't understand that we shouldn't be choking people out as the first instance, we shouldn't be initially taking people to the floor or going straight to DEFCON pain compliance 5 where it's not needed. Perhaps that we need to say though, where there is an elevated risk, we need to put something in place, and that could be it's probably not for a static guard on Lord's cricket ground or something. But if you work in the football, football, rugby, slightly different groups of supporters, your risk assessment's going to dictate we need the correct people. We might need the correct equipment.
Listen, 100%, I fully agree with you on that, and it does need to be looked at. Just stepping now onto the other side of that coin, which one of the things which I put up on this LinkedIn post was, the SIA are very, very good about public safety. Our job is about public safety. We're about looking after the public.
Yeah.
But one of the things is, as you saw some of the statistics I put up there, which came from the Telegraph, security officers are being abused every day. And we pay the regulator money. We pay them for our license every 3 years. We pay them money. It would be nice if the regulator would turn around and put a public, mission out there, a public statement as, respect the SIA, respect these licensed officers. They never seem to stand up for the people who pay their wages. Well, what do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's back to like in 2020 and everyone standing on the doorsteps, bashing pans together for the NHS every Thursday. But yeah, and I'm not really into this whole let's get a new Bill of Rights. So let's get an emergency services Bill of Rights. No, let's just say that we're all people and we should all be respected equally. Let's not throw abuse at anyone, really, more than anything. And I think it can be cleaned up because I've been going to a lot of sporting events lately because I think I'm at the time of my life where I can have a work-life balance. So when I travel, I'll go and watch ice hockey, I'll go and watch American football. In the UK, I watch rugby and things like that. And you just see this different demographic of people going along to things. But I remember standing on Preston North End in 1995, watching David Beckham on loan from United score a free kick in the top right-hand corner before he sort of elevated his career. But the language, the racism from the crowd, the fat shaming from the crowd if someone missed something, that's pretty much cleaned up now. You know, you've got your evidence gatherers from the police. The other thing is the smoking ban. You know, when you said about we're going to stop people smoking, I was thinking, how is that going to work? It just took a bit of a campaign to put things out there. So yeah, I wouldn't want to push for yet another Bill of Rights to say, you know, if you swear at a doorman, you're going to get locked up, because you are dealing with people that have got, you know, within the community to work in, every second word might be a swear word. The whole zero tolerance with security officers in A&E. You've got distressed, upset people that feel aggrieved and wronged because their relative should be in front of somebody else in the queue. I think you're just setting people up for ASBOs, cautions, criminal records. But I think a campaign from the SIA saying, do you know what? Maybe you should respect these people, rather than, remember, Dorman, don't throw people down flights of stairs. Yeah, 2020, we were at that stage where, if you remember, 10,000 people lost their jobs because they'd failed the criminality checks. Yeah, that was what the SIA needed to come in for. But I agree, if we demonise the SIA frontline people, and it feels like the SIA kicking the boot in with that, just like we've seen recently, some people that went to the latest RRN conference said it was just NHS backing. Why would I go and spend £500 to stand in the room and have people say, you're the problem, when they're the people that are looking after people?
Absolutely.
So that's me on my soapbox.
So we could agree there. I mean, the SIA should really, you know, they should back the people who are paying their wages. It'd be nice to see a program saying respect the security staff. You know, human beings as well. You know, and I think that's very important. That, you know, it's always the case of not just the SIA, but even with the police services. I mean, I've had it come back to me recently as well, where recently we called out for the police, and the police reply to us was, "Your security, you can deal with it." Yeah, if that's the case, yeah, we can deal with it, but we don't have a powers to arrest. So we need your backup and assistance. Now, the police said they would support us, but, you know, it's a big organisation. They are underfunded. We do understand it, especially in London. You know, you've got, I mean, I don't know how many people in London. Is it 12 million now? 12 million people in London? The police,
there's a lot.
It's only, the police services sound like about 36,000. They are hard stretched. We understand that. But the police want our support, you know, but they need to support us. And to get that support, we also need the support from the SIA. The SIA does need to support guys and girls out on the ground with campaigns like respect of who we are. That'd be great. That really would be great.
Yeah, and I think in the same way that when you work a security task, and if you're looking after a client, you can almost get a marker. We used to call them a storm reference number. A marker to say, look, this, if we call, sort of preempted. I think I'd like to see licensing work with that, rather than criminalising the hotspots where there's incidents. And it might just be because a certain club is open between a certain time, or there's a certain event going on there. Have a marker to sort of say, look, police response time, you know, we want something there. The other thing is, and this is kind of unofficial, I've seen this. So where appropriate, I'll help people to get their licenses back. And I've helped a handful of people, usually not people I know, but people that have been sort of referred to me. So I'll say, look, as part of your plan to get your license back, engage in extra training. And there's a document on this, which I'll put a link to in the comments, which is for if you have had your license suspended by the SIA, there's a course of action you can take. But that only seems to get publicised when it's too late and someone's got a caution for hitting someone. And the doorman that I speak to, I say, come on our course. You know, it's not your PIA. It's not your PISIA. It's a bit more advanced than that. So we'll take you through. If you do end up on the floor, this is how you hold someone. We understand the basics of positional asphyxia, but if people can understand how to get somebody into an appropriate hold, where perhaps members of the public, less experienced security officers are getting involved, like we see on airlines. You know, you see people take to seat, and the people are trying to do the best, but all they've seen is what they've seen on cop programs or the SIA. And as my son started working the doors now, whilst he sort of bridges the gap to see what he wants to do, which I think is a great way to cut your teeth. I was on the doors at 19, the same as him, but he's noticed that the SIA stuff, where it stops, people are just filling the gaps in. That they're either grappling, wrestling, or the boxing, and none of that looks good on CCTV. And then I put a post out recently about Joinder. people are accepting cautions because they're frightened. So they're in a police station, they're being told you could lose your license, you could go here. But that caution, that reprimand, that warning, it ends up, as Jim Fearon said recently, it ends up with investigation. You can't pay your mortgage. You're then looking for other things from that. So yeah, I think that there's remedies for once you've lost your license, but some advice that goes as far as to say this is the extra training you need, because if we're signposting it after someone's suspended, it's too late. The horse has already bolted.
Well, let's make sure we put that up in the in the comments today. If you can put some of that link, that's great. Just to wind this up now, because I know we're running out of time. You just want to sum this up for us, Doug?
Yeah, I think the SIA are like the DVLA, so don't demonise them and keep on asking them for solutions. Otherwise, be careful what you wish for. You might end up with another 3 or 4 day course that we all have to complete. And if you are a company that's looking to source extra training, get a training needs analysis done. Check what licenses have our guys got, what experiences they got already, and look in your pools of talent around that. Let's just get away from physical intervention. Things like auditors, training how to manage auditors so that they're not falling down the path of snatching phones out of people's hands or trying to think we've got more powers than we actually have.
Absolutely. I appreciate your comments there. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you, Doug, on this. From my side, at this point, if you like this content we do at the Guest Safety Officer Log Group, please like and subscribe, press the buttons below. And if you want to know any more information or like to contact Doug, please drop me a message or DM me, and I'm happy to pass you on Doug's details. And next week, I don't know who we're talking to next week. I think we're bringing in our in-house solicitor back to discuss more about things we can do and what we can't do on the door. From me, thank you very much, Doug.
Cheers. All the best. Thanks, guys. Speak soon.
Thank you, guys. And look forward to speaking to you soon, guys.